Well, we move on to other news. So Kenya will not name the winner of the country's presidential election on Wednesday. Chairperson of the commission, Wafula Chebukati, has said, Chebukati said in a press briefing this afternoon that provisional voter turnout stood at 14.1 million voters, or 65.4%. Kenyans went to the polls on Tuesday to elect a president as well as representatives to parliament and the country assembly. Well, we're now joined by our correspondent in Kenya, Sarah Kimani. Sarah, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for giving us your time. I know you've had a very busy 48 hours, but explain the mood for us today in Kenya.
Well, it's expectant. Everybody now waiting to see what happens. Results have been trickling in. The tallying center is busy. Wafula Chebukati says they have received almost all the results from the county tallying centers, and what they are doing here now at the National Tallying Center is compiling those tallies so that within the next few hours, he says, or within the provided 7 days, Kenyans will know who their fifth president will be. He's, however, very clear that that will not be today.
Yeah, and let's talk quickly about where we're sitting at this point with the counting. Some areas having completed their counting, and some areas the counting really lagging quite far behind, correct?
No, indeed, everybody has finished the counting. What is happening now is the tallying. So usually the counting happens at the same place where one voted, the polling station. So that was done. And then from there, all those ballot boxes and the forms are taken to the tallying centers. That is continuing now. And once it is received at the tallying centers, that information is fed into the National Tallying Center. That has been happening. The chairperson of the commission says at least 97.3% of the tallying, of feeding that information into the tallying center is complete. So just about 3% is not complete, and he expects that to be done by the end of today, so that within the next 48 hours, then the country should be able to have a clear picture of who the winner is.
Yeah, I mean, a big discussion around these elections has been the low voter turnout. I mean, is that still the word that's being used? 65.4% doesn't sound like a very low turnout.
Well, compared to 78% the turnout in 2017, then this would be considered low, although Chebukati says there are people whose details may not have been captured, because these are the people who are able to vote through the electronic voter identification kits. But even then, it is possible that it would not hit the 78% that was seen in 2017, meaning this time the voter turnout was lower than previous elections. And we had been talking about voter apathy. A lot of people were tired of the leadership in the country. Some people saying they did not see a reason to come out and vote. People saying every time they vote, every 5 years they vote, but things don't change. So, and then there was also the youth who did not see anything in it for them. They did not identify with the leaders that were vying. And so many of them did not actually turn out to vote. For example, yesterday we showed you a footage of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga going to vote. All those young people you saw following him into the polling station, it turns out now that many of them did actually just followed him in and out of the polling station. They did not cast their ballots. So that the turnout was low in almost every part of the country.
Yeah, and just as we look at the numbers as they come out from the various counties, any surprise leanings there of how those votes have gone? Perhaps in areas that would have been a stronghold for Odinga really starting to lean towards Ruto?
Maybe not, but one that stands out is the manner in which the people of central Kenya, where the outgoing president Uhuru Kenyatta comes from. Uhuru was seen as a kingmaker, and the fact that he was the leader or the spokesperson of the Kikuyu community, which he hails from, it was expected that he would be able to marshal the troops for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. However, most of the members of parliament who have been voted in, governors and senators, all are allied to Deputy President William Ruto. So seeming as if the people of central Kenya have rebelled against the person who would have been seen as their leader, that is Uhuru Kenyatta. But in other areas, it was quite obvious. In western Kenya, in Nyanza, where former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has enjoyed support over the years, he continued to receive that support. People in his hometown of Nyanza almost voting for him to the last man. In Rift Valley, the same thing for William Ruto, people voting for him almost to the last man. In Kenya, the vote has mostly been tribal, and that tribal leaning can still be seen even in this particular election.
And just lastly, Sarah, before I let you go, some optimism in that we have seen, though, a peaceful election in Kenya. Any concerns about whether or not that's going to hold as it becomes clear really who's taking the lead?
Well, it depends on how the results go, mostly, and how the IEBC conducts itself. If it takes too long to announce the winner, and because people have access to the forms, they are all in the IEBC portal, but any member of the public can be able to access them. So if somebody is able to tally quickly or quicker than the IEBC, and they're able to clearly see who the winner is, and the IEBC is taking too long to announce, then that could bring jitters into the country. But right now, people are waiting, people have been patient, and they're giving the IEBC the benefit of the doubt. Also because the process has become more transparent now. From the time one votes to the time the votes are counted to how they're transmitted, it is all so clear, and it is becoming easier for people to be able to see the transparency. So that also makes people believe more, or become more, the election becomes believable and the outcome becomes believable. So and also depends on how the two leaders will behave, whether the person who wins will actually be able to extend an olive branch to the loser, and whether the loser will actually be able to accept defeat. And if they do not accept defeat, whether they will be willing to go to court without upsetting the situation as it stands now.
Right. Well, we'll be watching things very closely then. Thank you so much for keeping us updated. That's our correspondent in Nairobi, Kenya, Sarah Kimani, speaking to us there.